उद्घाट्य योगकलया हृदयाब्जकोशं धन्यैश्चिरादपि यथारुचि गृह्यमाणः यः प्रस्फुरत्य विरतं परिपूर्णरूपः श्रेयस्समे दिशतु शाश्वतिकं मुकुन्दः अमरीकवरीभारभ्रमरी मुखरीकृतं दूरीकरोतु दुरितं गौरीचरणपङ्कजं परस्परतपःसम्पत्फलायितपरस्परौ प्रपञ्चमातापितरौ प्राञ्चौ जायापतिस्तुमः. So, we've been looking at Utpreksha. There are totally 6 varieties of Utpreksha: Vastutpreksha, Hetutpreksha, and Phalotpreksha. Each one has 2 categories. One is Ukta Vishaya, Anukta Vishaya. The other is Siddha Vishaya, Asiddha Vishaya. Phalotpreksha also has Siddha Vishaya and Asiddha Vishaya. For Vastutpreksha, we saw 2 examples. One was Dhumastomam, Tamashanke, Koki, Viraha Shushmanam. Tatratu tamaha eva vishayaha. So the vishaya is being fancied as the vishayi, which is the aprakritam, which is the non-contextual. So you can also take it as upameya and upamana. So vishaya is generally that which we are describing. So if we want to describe the darkness, we assume it. We say that it is a column of smoke that arises from the virahatapa. The second one is anukta vishaya, where the vishayam is not expressed in the example itself. So limpativa tamongani varshativa nabhaha anjanam atratu tamaha ityeva uktam tamo vyapanam nasti. So the part that is being fancied here is only the spreading of the darkness. Darkness is mentioned here. It seems as if darkness is anointing our bodies. So that lepanam is your aprakrita, which is the vyapanam is being fancied as lepanam. Vyapanam is being fancied as varshanam. That is, it is raining kajal. Now, if you take the next 2, it is hetutpreksha, where you have the prakrita vishayam and you have a hetu for this vishayam. Why are the feet red? So raktau tavangri mrudulau bhuvi vikshepana dhruvam is the first example that we are looking at for hetutpreksha. Padayoho raktatvam, the redness of the feet is the vishaya, but we are not fancying the redness as something else, as in the Swarupotpreksha or the earlier one, Vastutpreksha. But here we are trying to give a reason, and that reason in reality it exists, but that is in no way connected to the Vishaya. So this is fancied as a Hetu. So Hetutvena Utprekshitaha. It does exist. It is something that can exist. It is possible for the feet to walk on the earth. That exists. But then walking on the earth is being fancied as a hetu for the feet to be red. That part is your utpreksha. The next one is asiddha vishaya. Now the hetu does not exist in the real world at all. Here, tvanmukhambhoja tvanmukhabhe ichchaya nunam padmaihi vairayate shashi. The Vishaya here is Chandra Padmayoho Virodhaha. Now, whether this Vishaya is a real one or not is not being considered at all. Okay, there is no, if you consider this, then it is an Asiddha Vishaya, but that is not what is under contention here. Our Vishaya for contention as to whether this is Sambhavana or not is only the Hetu. That is why the name of the Alankara is Hetu Utpreksha. It is an Utpreksha with respect to the cause that is being given for the Prakritam. So the Prakritam here is, there is an enmity between the moon and the lotus. Why is there an enmity between the moon and the lotus now? Padmaihi vairayate shashi, because Kanta mukha kanti lipsa. The moon wants to get the luster or the beauty of the lady. Hence, it is having an enmity towards the Padmam. In the sense, the lotus is also as beautiful as the lady's face. It seems as if the lotus seems to have attained the kanti of the lady. So this moon is very jealous of the lotus and it has an enmity towards it. The reason there is the moon also wants to get the same beauty that the lotus seems to have gotten from the kanta, from the lady. Now, this sort of an wanting to attain the beauty is the hetu here, which does not exist in real life. So it is, which cannot exist at all. So that is the part which is being fancied and it does not exist. So asiddha vishaya hetu utpreksha. So far it's clear. Now we go to the phala utpreksha. There are two examples given here. Again, the same way, we will look at the phalam, what is the vishaya, what is the phalam, and whether that phalam exists in real life or not. So, siddha vishaya phala utpreksha. Asiddha vishaya phala utpreksha. Again, there is a phalam which is being said in the shloka, and that is something that cannot exist. So, it is an asiddha vishaya phala utpreksha. Let's look at the text here. Any questions with regards to the other four varieties?
Clear.
Clear. So, siddha vishaya phalotpreksha. Madhyah kim kuchayo dhrityai baddhaha kanaka damabhihi. Madhyaha kanaka damabhihi baddhaha kuchayoho dhrityai kim. It seems as if the waist has been tied with golden threads. The waist. So it's describing the woman who has breasts which seem to be held up by the waist, and the waist, in order to hold up something, you are tying the waist with the threads. Here the golden thread is in the form of the Odyanam, the hip chain. So Kanaka Damabihi, by with golden threads. Madhyaha kim baddhaha, is her waist tied up with golden golden threads, as if to hold up the breasts. So kuchayoho dhrityai, in order to, because there is the fourth case here that shows that it is the phalam. Kucha dharanam becomes the phalam for tying the waist with the thread. So if you want to hold up something, you are going to tie it with a thread so that it is capable of holding up a weight here. So, he kante madhyaha avalagna bhagaha. Here we are talking about the waist alone. Kuchayoho dhrityai dharanaya kanakadamabihi baddaha kim. So, this is called siddha vishaya. So, siddha vishaya means madhyaha tu swayameva kuchau dharati. That is, the whole weight of the body rests on the feet, correct? So when we talk about describing which part is resting on what, the knees rest on the feet, the thighs rest on the knees, and the hip rest on the thigh. The chest portion rests on the waist. And the madri, we have to think of then you think of the neck, which is resting on the body, and the face is also resting on the neck. That is why the neck is also called Shirodhara. So Shiraha Dharati iti Shirodharaha. If you look at the parts of the body in this manner, then you will know that each one is being held up by the part that is below. In that manner, it is natural that the chest portion is being held by the waist. அதுதான் எடுத்துக்கணும் மைண்ட்ல. If you have to think of it in that manner, so that kucha dharanam tu, it is a swabhavikam. It is a siddha vishayam. That is a natural process. But it is being fancied here now as a phalam. For what? For the waist being tied with the golden threads. So atra kuchayoho dhrityai dharanaya kanaka damabhihi baddhaha kim. Is it being tied by golden threads? That is it being tied by the hip chain? Ityatra kanakadama bandhatvena adhyavasitasya valitraya veshtanam. Oh, sorry. So he has taken it as valitrayam here. இல்லைன்னா நான் கனகதாமாங்கிறது நான் ஹிப் செயின் எடுத்துட்டேன். அது இல்லாத இப்ப எப்படி எடுத்துக்கணும்னா, யூ ஹாவ் டு திங்க் ஆஃப் இட் ஆஸ் அந்த 3 இது இருக்கு இல்லையா, ஃபோல்ட்ஸ், which are it is a samudrika lakshanam. அது என்ன வலிபி இதுல கூட வரும், சௌந்தரலஹரி வரும்.
சௌந்தரலஹரி
எடுத்து சட்டுன்னு த்ரை Okay, sorry. So Valitrayam is actually the three folds that are there in the waist area. That looks like golden thread. Her form is itself very fair, and those three folds look like threads across her waist, and it seems as if those are the threads which are holding up her breasts here. So Valitraya Veshtanasya, here Kanakadama Bandhatvena Adhyavasitasya, Adhyavasaya is this is Atisayokti here, but that part don't consider it for now, because we will be reading Rupakatishayokti later, where this part will become more clear. So here just take it as the Kanaka Dama is actually the Valitrayam, or the three folds that are present in the waist portion. Okay, so Kanakadama bandhatvena adhyavasitasya valitraya veshtanasya kucha dharanarthatvam utprekshyate. Kucha dharanarthatvam, in order to hold up the breasts. So that becomes the phalam here. Why does the waist have those three folds? Because it is to hold up the chest part. Okay, so madhyaha swayameva kucha udharati natu kanakadama bandhatvena adhyavasita valitraya veshtana balat, not out of the strength of this valitrayam that is present in the madhya bhaga, in the waist, but of its own accord, it is the waist portion that is holding up the chest portion. Tathacha kuchadharanam kanakadama bandhasya phalatvena utprekshita. This phalam portion is what is the utpreksha here. That is the fancy part. So kucha dharanasya siddhatvat cha siddha vishaya hetu utpreksha. Sorry, phalotpreksha. Clear? Okay. Asyaha eva anyat udaharanam, the aparam udaharanam, puram vidhur. This is a very beautiful example. So he has taken the example that are given in Chandraloka, which are original ones. Kuchav sadhya siddhyatara karitiku upasamidro kadantodo mule valagnam tanubhuva tridhane devi trivali lavali valli bhireva. Ideda kitatata ungalku. But சரி அது இருக்கட்டும். பூரம் விதுர் வர்தயிதும் பயோதேஹே சங்கேயம் ஏணாங்க மணிம் கியந்தி பயாம்சி தோக்தி பிரிய விப்ரயோகே சசோக கோகி நயனே கியந்தி. The moon is rising here. It is a Purna Chandra. It is a full moon here. As the moon is rising, it is normal for the samudram, for the ocean also to completely, for the high tide to happen, right? So it just increases in size as the moon rises, because there is this gravitational pull that happens. So payodhehe puram vardhayitum vidhuhu dogdhi. Now the moon wants to increase the waters of the ocean, so that is the phalam here. Okay, so increasing the waters of the ocean is something that is already present, because as the moon rises, it is a natural phenomena that the waves of the ocean also seem to rise up as the moon rises because of the pull. This is a natural phenomena that happens. Now the fancy part here is, the poet fancies that, see, he wants to fill up the ocean and make it flood out. Puram ityukte, puram vardhayitumna, in order to increase the expanse of the ocean. If you want to if you want to increase water content in some water body, then you have to pour more water inside it. Correct? So during, let's say, low tide, there is less of water, or when there is a river which doesn't flow much water into the ocean, then there is less of water. As the river floods and it comes into the ocean, there is an increase of water in the ocean. In the same way, here the poet also says the moon has to somehow find extra water to put into the ocean and make it bigger. அதுக்கு என்ன பண்றது? What does it do? ஏணாங்க மணிம் கியந்தி பயாம்சி தோக்தி. I don't know how much of water it has extracted from the Chandrakanta mani. ஏணாங்க is Chandrakanta. Ena Anka is Chandra. Chandramani. Chandramani is the moonstone which is supposed to melt as soon as the moon rises. So when the moon rises, the moon rays fall on the stone called Chandrakanta stone, and it slowly, and the தண்ணி கசியறதும்போ அந்த மாதிரி water seems to ooze out of that stone. It becomes so it seems as if this moon is trying to extract water from the Chandrakanta to put it into the samudram and make it bigger. So samudra vardhanam becomes the phalam here. Now what does it do? It seems, I don't know how many stones it had to extract water from. That is one part. The other thing is priya viprayoge sashoka koki nayane kiyanti payamsi dogdhi. How much of water does it dogdhi extract from the nayanam, from the two eyes of the koki? Koki is the chakravaka bird. I told you how the chakravaka bird at night, it cannot see. Even if its priya, its beloved is literally by the side, it still cannot see, and it will suffer from biraham, suffer from the pangs of separation, and it will keep on crying. Okay, this is in Kavi Samaya. It is accepted in the poet's world. So, sa shoka koki nayane, the eyes of the chakravaka birds, which are sa shoka, which is with grief, and priya viprayoge, because of the separation from its priya. I don't know how much of water the moon has extracted from the eyes of the Chandrakanta, from the eyes of the Chakravaka birds. And Enanka Manim Kiyanti Payamsi Dogdhi. Duha comes with the Duhyachpachilya. Adanala, it is a Dvikarmaka. So Enanka Manim Kiyanti Payamsi Dogdhi. Kiyantina Yattana. How much of water he has taken out from the Chandrakanta stone. But in Sanskritam, because Dukh is a Dvikarmaka, you have both in Dvitiya Vibhakti. The same goes for Nayane Payamsi Dogdhi. Again, Nayane is also in Dvitiya Vibhakti here. So I don't know how much of water it is extracted or taken out from these two people in order to increase the ocean. So that Samudra Vardhanam tu tatra phalam bhavati, phalatvena utprekshate. It is not the phalam here for extraction or anything. It doesn't do the extraction. That itself is not relevant for us. That is the fancy. But then the actual fancy here is the phalam. We want to look at only what is the current lakshanam that we are looking at, or current alankara that we are looking at. If we look at other alankaras, then we will get confused. Okay, so let's just look at the phala utpreksha. Chandrodaye samudra brahmanam swataha siddham. Samudra brahmanam is increasing of the ocean, is swatah siddham. It is a natural phenomena which is siddham, which is already existing on its own, swataha. Tathapi, even then, samudram vardhayitum, in order to increase the samudra, chandraha, the moon, chandrakanta manim dravayati, it makes water come out of the chandrakanta stone. Koki nayanebhyaha ashruni patayati, it makes tears to fall out of the eyes of the chakravaka birds, female birds. Iti samudra vardhanam phalatvena utprekshyate. As a result of what? Two things here. There are two actions, and both those actions are done with a result. And that result, there is a result which already exists, but it is being fancied as the result for these two actions. What are those two actions? Chandrakanta dravanasya phalatvena, kokangana bashpa sramanasya phalatvena. Is that clear? Utprekshyate iti siddha vishaya phalotpreksha.
Only the phala part is the siddha vishaya, but the other two are kavi samayam, right? That chakravaka pakshi
and Chandrakanta,
fields,
yes,
and Chandrakanta mani. So those two are siddha vishaya palotpreksha. It is not coming. It is in siddha vishaya palotpreksha.
Yeah, this is Siddha Vishaya Phalotpreksha because the Utpreksha with respect to what the phalam is, and that phalam exists. So we'll have to only look at that part. Okay.
Only the palam part is Siddha Vishaya, but the actions causing the palam to arise is not Siddha Vishaya.
Adu Kavi Samayam. Kavi Samaye to Siddhameva.
Oh.
Adu Uttupom.
No, the way I understood was the other part is not relevant.
It is not relevant.
We don't have to say it is Asiddha Vishaya.
Correct.
It is not relevant.
It's not relevant to the Phalotpreksha right now.
Correct.
Okay. Clear so far? Okay. Next one is Asiddha Vishaya Phalotpreksha. Now the phalam, whatever is being conceived as the result, that doesn't exist in reality now. So prayo abjam tvatpadena ikyam praptum toye tapasyati. Prayaha, possibly that abjam toye tapasyati. The lotus is doing tapas in the water. Toye tapasyati. It is doing a penance in the water. It is doing meditation in the water. For what? In order to attain aikyam with your feet. Tvat padena aikyam praptum. So aikya prapti becomes the fruit. The feet of the lady are so soft and so beautiful to look at that it is being compared to the lotus here. That aupamyam is underlying. That this whole expression is based on that aupamyam. That is just a first step of there is no chamatkaram, or let's say there is more chamatkaram in this expression, wherein he says this lotus seems to be standing in that. See, in the ottakalla nikkarudungrolla, it is standing on one feet and doing tapasiti. So the nalam becomes like a leg on which it is standing and doing tapas. For what is it doing? What is the phalam for that tapas? Tvat padena aikyam praptum. In order to attain an aikya, a non-difference between you, your feet and itself. Atra Padmasya or Aikyam can be a union, like complete to merge Sayujya Padavi Praptam. Because tapas ityasya to final result is always Samipyam, Sarupyam, Sayujyam, right? So to completely merge one in one with the Lord with whom you are thinking about. So that sort of an Aikyam it wants. So atra Padmasya Jale Avasthanam Jalavasa tapastvena adhyavasya. He is superimposing, or he is completely identifying the jale avasthanam. That is that the lotus is standing in the water is completely identified with a tapasvi who also stands in water and does tapas. There is a jalavasa tapaha. Also done by certain tapasa. Tat tapasaha phalam utprekshyate. The fruit of this kind of a tapas is being fancied. What is that? He kante prayaha abjam tava padena padena aikyam praptum toye tapasyati udavasa tapah karoti. Uda is water. Udavasa tapaha, the penance in the form of staying in water. Ityatra padmasya jale swabhavikam avasthanam tapastvena adhyavasitam. இதெல்லாம் irrelevant இப்போ நமக்கு. That we don't need. So padmasya jale swabhavikam avasthanam. A lotus being in the water is a natural occurrence. Tattu tapastvena adhyavasitam. Now it is being first identified as a tapas instead of avasthanam. அப்புறம் காமினி பாத சாயுஜ்ய பிராப்தியர்த்தம் இதி பத சாயுஜ்ய பிராப்தேஹே உதவாச தபः பலத்வம் உத்ப்ரேக்ஷ்யதே. Now it wants to attain a sayujya with the feet of the lady, with the feet of the foot of the kamini, of the beloved. That part is being fancied as the phalam, phalatvam, for udavasa tapaha, for the penance of being in the water. Okay. So kamini charana sayujya praptescha asiddhatvena asiddha vishaya phalotpreksha.
The Kamala, the lotus stalk being in unison with water or whatever, is that a common metaphor? Or is it something that
stalk being in unison with the water kadayadinga? That is not at all there.
It is just submerged in water.
correct? So where is where is the oneness part?
The flower will.
Okay. Think of the flower as someone who is thinking about, I want to attain the beauty of the lady's feet. அப்படினா அது தபஸ் பண்றது.
Oh.
That is to say, the lady's foot is even more beautiful than the lotus. So the lotus was aspiring to become like the lady's foot. So you reverse the upama in that sense. And just like how the rishis do penance, many rishis do penance by in fire, they cover in all directions, they put fire and they do penance. Some of them do upside down, some of them stand in the water. In Bhagavatam, I think they stand in the water. I have seen examples. So here, I think the lotus, so the Kavi is imagining the lotus to be aspiring to the highest state of union with the lady's feet. I mean, he's praising the lady in a very roundabout way, but it's beautifully done.
But this is not a very usual comparison. It looks very unique.
காவியத்துல நிறைய இருக்கு.
இருக்குமா?
Lotus and foot is very common, இல்லையா?
Lotus and foot?
Yeah.
Lotus and foot, very, very common. Hand
lotus
and
feet,
foot.
lotus and
especially
hand, lotus
Rama's
and eyes.
Yeah.
See, I can imagine now no, I haven't seen any. Okay.
நிறைய இருக்கு. அதாவது லோட்டஸ்ங்கிறது it is a representation of சௌகுமாரியம், காந்தி, சௌந்தர்யம்.
A tenderness of the feet I have seen. I haven't
தாமரை
seen.
திருவடி இல்லையா? என்ன?
இருக்கு.
என்ன தாமரை திருவடி கிடையாது?
Correct, ma. That is in a very different context. I haven't seen in this context of tapasyati.
அது ஓகே. இது வந்து போயட்டினுடைய ஒரு கிரியேட்டிவிட்டி, அவ்வளவுதான். பிரதிபா. அது ஒரு
Can we also say there is
fancying there.
Pada Kamalam is always there. No, that's not Pada Pankajam. Yeah.
Instead of saying directly Pada Pankajam, that loses its charm. You go beyond that and be more poetic in your expression by saying, your feet are more beautiful than the lotus. So it seems as if the lotus is standing there constantly in the river and doing tapas so that it can attain your position.
Can we also add Pratipa Alankaram here?
Pratipa Alankaram la illa inga.
We cannot add it?
No. Roundabout way anna sollikkalam. Okay. Asya eva अपरम उदाहरणम. रथस्थितानां परिवर्तनाय पुरातनानाम् इव वाहनानां उत्पत्ति भूमौ तुरगोत्तमानां दिशि प्रतस्थे रविरुत्तरस्याम्. Ravihi Uttarasyam Dishi Pratasthe. The sun starts moving towards the northern direction. The sun moves towards the northern direction. During that Ratha Saptami, I think the wheel turns and moves towards Uttarayanam. So Ravihi Uttarasyam Dishi Pratasthe. Now, why does he move towards the northern direction? Utturagottamanam utpatti bhumau uttarasyam dishi pratasthe. The north is supposed to be the utpatti sthanam or the birthplace for great horses. The Arabian kudurengrolya. So the Persian horses and the Arabic horses are supposed to be, northern horses are always, northla irukra horses are much better because there is a desert and they are capable of they are much stronger and capable of moving across deserts, so they would definitely have gained that resistance. So the horses as you move north are supposed to be good horses or best of the horses. So Turagottamanam utpatti bhumau Uttarasyam Dishi Ravihi Pratasthe. The sun has started going towards the northern direction, which is supposed to be the Utpatti Sthanam for great horses. Now, why does he go there? The palam there for moving towards the north is Puratananam Vahananam Rathastitanam Vahananam Parivartanaya Iva. As if to change the if you've read olden novels, adla vandu they will change horses from one inn to another when they move, as they move from one place to another. In the London to countryside ellam porche, they will stop at an inn and then they will change horses and then move. So that is how they keep the horses also fresh and give the horses the older horses a respite. So this seems as if the sun wants to change his horses because they are very ancient here. Puratananam rathasthitanam vahananam. The vahana or the horses which have been tied to his chariot and which are very ancient, it seems as if he wants to change them. Parivartanaya. This is the phalam here. Changing. Now, there is no, it is aprasiddham. That is not known at all. The same 7 horses are only there for the sun, and it is the Puranic symbolic representation of the sun also. Right? So, atra Suryasya uttarati gamanasya, going towards the northern direction. Rathastita puratana ashva parivartanam phalatvena utprekshyate. The phalam here is to change the horses, his old horses which are there in his chariot. That changing of the horses is the phalam. And that phalam is, the changing of the horses is used as a phalam for him moving into the northern direction. Ashva parivartanasya cha asiddhatvat. This is not a known fact that he does this changing like manusha horses, right? So asiddha vishaya phalotpreksha.
This is like changing to winter tires or something.
In modern days, yes. Okay. Is that clear so far? Cherry. Now we move on to Atisayokti alankara. Yeah, this is hyperbole. Repeat. So so Atisayokti is an exaggeration. This is not the fancy that we have. So this is a loka maryada atikrami. There are different kinds of Atisayokti. This is another big section. There are totally 8 types of Atisayokti alankara. It is a kind of hyperbole. So Atishayasya loka maryada ativartinaha kavi sammatasya visheshasya uktihi Atisayoktihi iti namnaiva asya alankarasya samanya lakshanam uktam bhavati. With the name itself, Atisayokti, we are giving the lakshanam for this alankara. So what is the general lakshana? Samanya lakshanam. So there are different kinds of Atisayokti like Rupaka Atisayokti, Chapala Atisayokti, etc. For each one, there will be a separate definition. But the common general definition for Atisayokti is Loka Maryada Ativartinaha, Atishayasya Uktihi. Atishayasya Uktihi. What is Atishaya? Some kind of an exaggeration. That which is beyond the Loka Maryada, the limits of the world. But it is within the Kavi Sammatam, within the world of the poet. Visheshasya Uktihi, an expression which is an exaggeration, which is beyond what we see in the world. Iti namnaiva asya alankarasya. With the name itself, Atisayokti, we have said the common lakshanam for Atisayokti. Now he goes to the specific lakshanas. Before that, he quotes from Dandi here. Dandi has written a work called Kavyadarsha, which is one of the earlier texts after Natya Shastra. It is it's a very simple text which starts off with the definitions of Kavyam and all that. It also has anybody who starts a Mahakavyam will always quote from Dandi. Sargamandho Mahakavyam Uchyate Tasya Lakshanam Vidhe. So Kavya Darsha is like the first text that we all used to read in BA. Inge vandu we don't have it in Chittoor series, but that is a very simple text for Alankara Shastra. So in that, Dandi defines Atisayokti as Vivaksha ya Visheshasya Loka Sima Ativartini Asau Atisayoktihi Syat. Atisayokti is explained as or is defined as a Vivaksha. You have a desire to talk about some Vastu or some Vishesha which is Loka Sima Ativarti. there is a desire to speak in adadu you are trying to describe a vishesha, something in terms that are beyond the lokasima. So the vivaksha is such that the vivaksha is much more than what the actual object is or actual situation is. The situation may be a simple situation, but the vivaksha is much more and beyond what the situation is actually. So that is Atisayokti. Clear? So Atisayokti ashtadha. There are 8 types. Rupaka Atisayokti, Sapannava Rupaka Atisayokti, Bhedaka Atisayokti, Sambandha Atisayokti, Asambandha Atisayokti, Akrama Atisayokti, Chapala Atisayokti, Atyanta Atisayokti iti. Etesham kramena lakshana udaharanani diyante. So there is a lakshana and the udaharanam for each one of these varieties. So the first one is Rupaka Atisayokti. The name itself tells you that it is based on Rupakam. So you'll have to know Rupakam really well to come here. Then only can you understand the difference between Rupaka and Atisayokti. So Rupaka Atisayokti syat Nigirya Adhyavasanataha. This Nigirya Adhyavasanataha is your key word for Atisayokti. Highlight Nigirya, completely swallowing. Adhyavasana, you are superimposing after swallowing the Vishaya. So you have a Vishaya and a Vishayi. Vishaya is what you are going to describe. Vishaya is the Upamanam, right? Upama and the Upameya and the Upamanam. Let's say the Prakritam, contextual, and there is a non-contextual. The contextual is completely swallowed, Nigirya. The non-contextual alone is being superimposed and said here. What happens in Rupakam? We are saying these two are the same. 2 things are mentioned. But here one is completely swallowed and only one is mentioned. Let's look at the example and the Vyakhyanam, it will be more clear. Pashya nilotpaladvandvat nissaranti shitas sharaha. Pashya, look.
Quick question. Quick question. There the word Nigirya means superimposed, is it?
Illa. Nigirya is swallow. Adhyavasanam is superimposed. Nigiranam na.
Nigirya is swallow.
Swallow.
Swallow, okay.
Gru nigarane iti dhatu.
Upamanam is swallowing the upameya.
No, upamanam is swallowed. Upameya is completely swallowed.
Is being swallowed by the upamanam.
Yeah. So if you look at the example, Nilotpaladvandvat, from a pair of Nilotpala flowers, Nila Utpala are the blue lilies. From the pair of blue lily, Shitaha Sharaha Nissaranti, sharp arrows are coming out of the pair, coming out from the pair of blue lilies. The normal thing is, so we have seen that Atisayokti is always an exaggeration. Loka Maryada Ativartini. But there is a normal action that is happening in the world. So what is the normal action, Vishaya, that we want to describe? Oh, she is throwing sharp glances towards me. That's all. The Nayaka is describing the Nayika's eyesight. The way she is looking at him, it is as if she is shooting arrows. We use this expression in English also, right? Her eyes are shooting arrows. Instead of saying eyes, he says the arrows are coming out or being shot from the 2 lotuses or 2 lilies. The Vishaya of Netra Dvandvam is completely swallowed, and we only have 2 lilies here. Nilotpala. And Shitaha Sharaha Nirgachanti iti cheta tatra drishti katakshaha. The kataksha is also completely swallowed, and we have only arrows being mentioned here. Someone asked me the difference between this and Utpreksha. Clear, Acha? Swati, yeah, okay. So he will also explain what is the difference between Rupaka and this, Utpreksha and this in the Vyakhyanam. So Nigirya. Vishayasya swashabdena upadanam vina. Vishaya is prakritam, what we are describing, which is the upameya Vishaya. So the subject matter is not being said by its words. So swashabdena upadanam, அந்த தன்னுடைய வார்த்தையினாலே அதை கூறுவது, எடுத்துக்கொள்வது, உபாதானம் சொல்றோம் இல்லையா? So it is not being said by its own words. Like there is no word in this line where it says netradvandvat अथवा कटाक्षाः निस्सरन्ति इति तत्र कटाक्षः इति पदं वा नेत्रद्वन्द्वम् इति पदं वा तेनैव शब्देन नेत्रद्वन्द्वः नेत्रद्वन्द्वम् अथवा कटाक्षाः इति तेनैव पदेन उपादानं विना ग्रहणं विना तत्र न उक्तम्. So without saying that, what are we indicating it with? Vishayi vachaka padena. Vishayi is the upamanam. The word that indicates the upamanam is being mentioned here. Grahanam kritva, having taken only the words of the upamanam, adhyavasanataha, because of this kind of a superimposition, vishayasya vishayi rupena aharya nischayat atisayoktihi. Aharya jnanam he explains here. Badhakalina ichchajanyatvam aharyam. Aharyam, you are forcibly trying to take this kind of an understanding. Without that kind of an see, at no point are you going to ever say that the eyes are lilies or that arrows are shooting out of the lilies. That can never happen, right? But badha kalinam, there is a badha, there is a pratishedha in your mind, there is a negation of such a knowledge. You know the truth and you know that this cannot happen, whatever is being described cannot happen. That is the shooting of arrows. Badha kalina, badha samaye eva, ichchajanyatvam ityukte, I want to use this kind of an expression. So it is an aharya jnanam. You are kind of pulling it up and ஒரு ஆக்ரஹ நான் இப்படிதான் சொல்லுவேன் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி அந்த மாதிரி. Aharyam nale, it is out of stubbornness that you're saying. It's kind of that. Even though that is, you know that it is not the truth, still you want to use that kind of a nischaya. So what happens here? Vishayasya, the Vishayam, which is netradvandam, Vishaye rupena, nilotpala rupena, aharya nischayat. We know very clearly that we have done this kind of a superimposition and we are taking only the upamana into consideration. Yatra upameyam mukhadikam tadvachi mukhadi padena anupadaya. Without mentioning the word mukha, upamanavachi chandradipadaihi upadaya, chandradipadaihi eva upadaya. By saying that a face is shining, instead of saying the face which is the moon is shining in front of me, or the moon face is shining in front of me. Instead of saying all that, you are saying there is a moon in front of me. அப்படின்னா குழந்தைய பார்த்து சொல்லல, ஒரு குழந்தைய கொஞ்சரிச்சே நம்ம என்ன சொல்றோம், என் கண்ணே மணியேங்கிறோம். மணியாது இல்லையே, it's not a gem there. But you are forcibly superimposing that gem, that he is a gem. இல்லையா? You are not saying நீதான் என் மணி அப்படி சொன்னா அது வந்து ரூபகம் ஆயிடும். But if you say maniye அப்படின்னு கூப்பிடுறோம்னா, that is a atisayokti in normal parlance. So yatra, in whichever expression, in a kavyam, yatra kavye upameyam mukhadikam, the face which is the upameya, tadvachi mukhadi padena anupadaya, without using its word mukham, upamanavachi chandradi padaihi, with the words chandra etc., which are actually the upamanam upadaya, having taken those words into consideration or having used those words in the kavya, chandradi rupena avadharyate, it is being understood as the moon itself. So chandradi abheda tadrupya anyatara rupena, you can either have, see, when you are not mentioning the vishaya, what is it? Is it abheda tadrupyam, abheda rupakam or tadatmyam? Appadina or doubt varlo. Yeah, it can be either way. Because you're not mentioning it as ayam, nor are you mentioning it as katakshaha. You're only mentioning the shara. Is clear?
So
Tatra,
there is the nature of adhyavasanam, right? It can be either what is it? Tadrupyam or
abheda.
tadatmyam. Tadatmyam is the same thing. Tadrupyam is of the same form, right? There's the
Yes.
nature of adhyavasanam, right?
Yes.
And that's what
Abhedana completely non-different. Tadrupyamna, this is of the form of that.
same form, yeah.
Ada.
Okay. So the adhyavasaya or the nigaranam is of these two types, right? Okay.
These two types, but it doesn't matter anyway.
It doesn't matter.
How does the see, because it is not evident which type
Yeah.
of nigaranam has happened here.
Right.
Ada. So tatra rupakatisayoktihi iti nishkarshaha. So this is the final import of the rupakatisayokti. Now he goes to the example. He sake नीलोत्पलद्वन्द्वात् शिताः तीक्ष्णाः शराः निस्सरन्ति निर्गच्छन्ति इति उदाहरणम् अत्र. So this is the example here. Vishayabhuta kanta lochana dvandva katakshanam. Two things are the vishaya here. One is the two eyes of the lady, and kataksha, the eyesight that comes out of her eyes. So tadvachi padaihi, we have not used the words netra dvandvam or lochana dvandvam or kataksha. Upadanam vina, without using the words themselves. Vishayi vachini vachi nilotpala shabdabhyam. Nilotpala shara shabdabhyam. You'll have to put in the shara also here. Okay, that is missing here. Because you have dual, you need to mention that also. So Vishayi vachi Nilotpala Shara Shabdabhyameva Upadanam Kritva. Having mentioned only by the words Nilotpala and Shara, what have we done? Nilotpala Dvandva Bana Abheda Adhyavasanad. So there is a complete superimposition of these two. That's why it is called Rupakatisayokti. Now he gives the differences between.
ஸ்லோகத்திலே ஷராஹ இருக்கு.
Shara irukku. Adanaladhaan sharangra shabdam has been mentioned.
Okay.
Anna kataksham illa.
Illa.
That's the important point.
Ama. Rupake vishaya vishayinoho swapada upattayoho abheda pratipattihi aropaha. Rupaka, in Rupaka Alankara, you have to mention what is the Vishaya and what is the Vishayi. Then you can do Abheda Tadrupyam, whatever. Then there is an Aropa there. Okay. So, whereas here, Rupakatishayoktautu Vishayasya Swapada Upadanam Vina Vishayavachi Padenaiva Upadana Purvakam Vishaya Vishayinoho Aharya Abheda Nischayaha Adhyavasayaha Ityanayor Bhedaha.
So in the previous line, when he said, like just a little bit above when you were showing, so upadanam kritva nilotpala dvandva bana on one side, which is the vishayi, right? Those two are the two vishayis, and the two vishayas would be nilotpala dvandva would be the two eyes, and the bana would be the shara, right?
Yes, bana would be the
kataksha, right? So he should have said nilotpala dvandva bana netra sharayoho abheda adhyavasana. You should have said.
You don't need that.
Kataksha.
Right,
Nilotpala dvandva bana abheda adhyavasana. You are doing an abheda adhyavasana by using these two.
These two with two other things which are not mentioned here.
Avlada. Yeah.
Right. And so when he and then below when he says that iti anayoho bhedaha kayoho bhedaha idanim.
Rupakatisayaktehe rupakasya cha.
Okay. Evam.
So Rupaketu Swapada Upattayoho Abheda Pratipattihi. So Swapada Upattayoho ityukte Vishayaha api Swapadena Uktaha bhavati. Vishayi api Swapadena eva Uktaha bhavati Rupake. Tatra Ubhayorapi Abheda Pratipattihi vartate. There is an identification between the two, but both have to be mentioned. Parantu Rupakatisayokto Vishayasya Swapada Upadanam Vina. Tari Vishayasya Upadanam Nasti. Vishaya Shabdaha eva tatra navidyate. Kavye. Vishayi Vachi Padenaiva Upadana Purvakam. By just mentioning the Vishayi. Vishayi eva Shabdatvena tatra uchyate kavye. Tarihi Vishayi rupenaiva vishayasya suchakam bhavati tatra. So because you don't mention these two, and yet there is an aharya abheda nischaya. There is an abheda nischaya where you are forcing this identification between the two.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the difference between Rupaka and Rupaka Atishayokti. Now what happens in Utpreksha? Utprekshayam abheda sambhavana eva natu nischayaha. Manye, Shanke, Dhruvam, Iva. These all give us a kind of a doubt with respect to Utpreksha. I think the column of smoke is Tamaha. Or illa. The Dhumastomam Tamashanke. Yes. I think this is only darkness. So that Manye, Shanke all gives as to a doubt where it becomes the opinionated thing. I am of the opinion that this is how it is. So there is a sambhavana, there is a fancy, that's all. Whereas here, there is a nischaya here.
So what you're saying is when you use the word dhruvam or nunam, there is no nishchaya.
Yeah.
I mean, dhruvam certainly definite artham illaya.
Dhruvamana definite irundalum ada mention பண்ணிருக்கார்ல அதுலயும் ரெண்டுமே இருக்கு விஷய and விஷயி have been mentioned.
I'm just pointing out the contrast between the meaning of the word and the
yeah. Okay, so I'll stop with this.